but maybe what were your most helpful tools during this time? So if you say, of course, hard work and diligence, but what comes to mind? What was the secret of your success, so to say, other than the lockdown?
I would say, look, every one of us has their own methods of study, and I think we all need to find the one that suits you. You know, a lot of people do what do you call that? Sort of those study cards. I'm not sure what's in English. Yeah. So the flashcards, exactly. A lot of people do those and find that really useful. For me, it doesn't work so much. I'm much more, call me old school, but I love to read and just you know, big text, which can be a bit daunting at times, but that's the way I work better. I summarize the entire book, for example, something that worked for me. So, and the problem with that book, for everyone that has read the Unit 3 book, it's you can't really summarize much, because everything that is in there, it's already a lot of it's already everything pretty packed, very packed. But I managed to go from 500 pages to 140, small print, so it's still a lot. But then that I divided by country. For example, I printed however many countries there are, 16 or whatever it was, and then I would, you know, today I'm going to read Chile, tomorrow I'm going to read Australia, tomorrow, and so that was the process that I was going through and highlighting some of the key things then. So that's how I went through more of the theory, was summarizing it, because I could get that. As I was writing or typing, I was getting that into my brain, and then just literally just repeating it and repeating it and repeating it, and just the key information. Sometimes just you know, in one sentence, just key info that I thought was relevant. So that worked pretty well for me. On top of that, the practical side. During lockdown, we could still get out of the house during some time, and this was 2019 and 2020. So right before the pandemic, and then a little bit during the pandemic until the exam. My recommendation is find a tasting group. So I was very lucky to have a group of 7 other students in Hong Kong, all doing diploma with me, and we met every Saturday for months in a row, every single Saturday. And we had one young man who is very bright and passed it as well, like really young, early 20s, but really happy that he took it upon himself to set up the blind tastings every single week. So we would literally just give him money. He would buy it, he would set it up. We would just all show up in a neutral place, a little tasting room, and we would taste the wine blind and then discuss it. And this was so useful. I can't recommend it enough. If you have the chance to network with fellow students, you share costs. That's a big thing. You just save money on wines. And you study together, and you learn together, and you fail together. You fail a lot, and you will look at what you just tasted and what you just said and go, how did I not see this? Happens to everyone. Even, I'm sure, a master of wine happens the same. It's impossible to get it right all the time. You can't do it, but you can practice it. And so I think that's my biggest recommendation, is find a group of students that you can work with and study with, particularly for the practical bit.
And because you already talked about the practical things or the tasting, but I think it's also for me, maybe, or for a lot of students actually, maybe who because I work as a sommelier, so I do the practical side, so to say, every day. But I think for a lot of people who are working in another industry or have another job, I think they make the big mistake that they treat the hard part, so to say, that tattooing the information onto your brain. So the theory part and the practical side separately, and they don't really connect the material with the kind of tasting note and the blind tasting.
The theory will help you a lot. The theory will help you a lot, and because it really helps with the logic of what you are experiencing. So do try to integrate both together. You know, it's if you're tasting a fortified, and if you smell high alcohol, this heat in the nose, then you know, okay, well, fortification, great. The alcohol will be X. Even if you don't actually realize how much alcohol, if you know you can get to the alcohol level by your theory. Well, if this is it, then it must be that. I mean, so integrate theory into your practical bit. And then my recommendation for practical bit is don't waste time with obscure stuff. I think for WSET 4, light wines and sparklings and whatever, know the classics. Because you will get classic. You will get, you know, a Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. You will get a Bordeaux red. You will get a Barolo. You will get a Chianti. You will get a Rioja. You know, focus on the classics. Know them well, and those are your bankers. So you will end up having a banker there in the tasting that will help you with the other ones. And so know them well. Know those bankers well. They will help you go, okay, well, this is it, and I'm pretty sure it is. Then this can only be that, and that can only be that. Done. And so don't go for really obscure stuff, because you really don't have to. And even if you don't know, and if you don't get it right, it's only a portion of the question anyway. As long as you get the rest of everything right, you'll be fine. But focus on the classics; those you really need to know.
That's a really great advice. I haven't heard it before, but I think it's to know your anchor points, so to say, right? Like orientation points, because it could be really daunting if you have 6 wines in front of you or 12 wines in front of you.
I have no idea.
Yeah, and then it's just really easy to get lost. And if we are talking about tasting, and what's your approach to blind tasting? Maybe also in your private life, if you do some games, but more like in the WSET kind of framework. Because for me as a sommelier, it might be one of the biggest challenges in the entire diploma and WSET structure is describing the wine in this kind of frugal, kind of unimaginative way. And it's basically the opposite of what you should do as a sommelier at the table, or when you write about the wine on Instagram, or I don't know. So how did you find the fine line of being accurate, like an accurate describer, but still greatly descriptive in your quality assessment without being too poetic? Or is poetic then okay?